I'm pretty sure you're live. I think
Yeah, I'll see how long before anybody would talk. You lost. Kevin
yeah.
lost.
Oh, I lost.
Yeah, big time. Hey, YouTube. I'm Brick Smith,
There it is.
and welcome to Forever Sorting, episode number 15. We finally got out of Colorado. As always, is my ever-loving guest, Kevin. Hey, Hinkle.
It's more like a hey, like a Hey. Hey everybody.
Welcome, man.
Hey Julian.
Where can we find you on social media?
Hey, if you guys don't know who I am, how are you 15 episodes into my life? But if you
wait, hold on. Okay, and this is me being silly, Kevin. So what I decided was I was trying to get more views on the Forever Sorting, so my playlist is backwards on my channel. So it starts with the newest and works its way backwards.
So that makes a lot of sense. Hello, new viewer. My name is Kevin Hinkle.
By the way, if you want to see him the other way around, Kevin has him the other way around on his channel.
I do have him the other way around. So if you have any interest in following me, I go by at Mr. Kevin Hinkle on all social media platforms. And if you'd like to follow just my artwork, because I am a freelance artist, you can follow me at Mr. Hinkle Draws. And that is on, again, all social media platforms as well as YouTube. I have a YouTube channel.
What? What's the name of that YouTube channel, Kevin?
Mr. Hinkle Draws.
I love it. Didn't you just?
It's very consistent branding.
It is. I like it. And unfortunately, there are certain things that I wasn't able to acquire vis-a-vis So
yeah, and see, luckily I was in a place where I was discovering my online brand fairly recently. And since I was coming from nothing to everything, I had the opportunity to do a lot of research, look at all the platforms, check usernames. So I was very fortunate in that I entered the arena with universal branding on all places.
I also gave him advice that he didn't ask for.
Well, before I forget, the last thing I need to mention is if you do have any interest, I run a comic series for Lego fans called Bricks in the Middle. And you can find that at bricksinthemiddle.com or BITM Comics on social media, or printed inside every other issue of Brick Journal magazine. So, thank you guys. Thanks for joining us for another riveting episode.
And I'm so glad we got past the lost episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it last week.
Was it worth it? Was it worth it?
I'm going to say it was. And, hey, it's not every day we have a special guest.
That's very true. We may have more, maybe.
Hey, maybe not.
Maybe we won't.
I don't know. It all depends on squirrels.
Squirrels.
Yeah, Kevin, we're looking at your face, but your hands are moving. What's going on down there?
True. So to continue my trend over the last couple episodes, this is almost getting shameful, is that I'm not sorting again. I'm building. So I have this Ninjago set.
There she is.
And this is called the Destructoid from 2014. And I will now move my camera down so you guys can watch as I build this. And you can also see there's things behind me that I've been building over the last several days.
You've been doing a lot of streaming, folks.
I've been streaming, but I'll get back to sorting. Don't you worry, because if you think I don't have things to sort,
boy, you're wrong.
You are mistaken.
So as we last left our ever-loving mother-hugging Kevin here.
Mother-hugging.
I think that's going to be the new hashtag, ever-loving mother-hugging.
It's something.
It is something. Kevin's like, I didn't sign up for that one.
I don't know if I agreed to that.
I don't like that one. By the way, Miss Neon Kitten, look at those 1x16 Technic bricks. Yeah, she will snag them from you quick.
I put it down and they just vanish off the
Yeah,
table.
that's all it takes. And she gets them from, she'll be all the way from Colorado to pick those up.
I guess it's time to build into the model so that I don't have to worry about it.
There you go. So Kevin, we're packed up. All of Kevin's Lego is now in boxes and will stay there forever.
Yeah, that's kind of a sad reality.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were in a 3-bedroom. I want to call it like a little townhouse thing. It was
why do you refer to it? Listen, some of our viewers lived in townhouse things, and the biggest place I have lived as an adult was in my little townhouse. The last place we lived had 4,000 square feet, maybe 7,000. I think it was more like 20,000.
It's the reason I say is because I don't know what it's classified as, because it's like
describe
it kind of reminds me of like when you have like a condo and there's like a little tiny strip of 4 or 5 condos and they're attached to each other.
Okay.
But they each have their own little like garage unit and their own like little porch and stuff like that, you know?
That's an apartment.
Okay, see, I would never call that an apartment though. Like an apartment for me is like a giant complex of like 100 okay. Maybe we're getting into the weeds now.
Yeah, so, but here's the thing: I just left the place that was a upstairs, downstairs apartment. It was an apartment complex, but it was a quadruplex.
I'll see. Like, we need a real estate agent to come in here and settle all this.
Put down in the chat below what Kevin's place was living.
So yeah, throughout my time in Colorado, when I first moved to Colorado, I was straight up in an apartment.
Yeah,
it was a really big, like a big complex. There was hundreds of apartments and multiple buildings. You know, where like the apartments, like you live in an apartment 1101-53, like like major complex. And we lived there for 2 or 3 years. Then we moved into a house that we were renting, and we lived there for a couple years. And then we moved into this thing that I call a townhouse because it's like a little strip of kind of like a fusion between a house and an apartment. But it was in a little row of other ones.
Right, which still makes it. Was it attached to anything? Were they attached?
They were attached to each other.
Well, that is it's still however many were in a row. It's that many, like duplex, quadruplex. It's whatever the number of the places is, and then plex behind it.
Yeah, it was apartment-ish, and that was
quadruplexing.
Yeah, that was the place that in my Blizzard story that I told you that I live really close to the mall. Like that was that last place I was living in. So
that episode hasn't aired yet.
Well, for you guys when you catch up.
that's actually, I think it's going to be next week because I had to pull it to do the thing and then the other thing, and this is the other thing behind that.
I love it. It's so good.
Because of what I said earlier in the episode. You know what? I'm going to give you the Blizzard. You get the Blizzard first. You're going to have to wait for 15. So it's going to go 14, Blizzard, 15. Thanks, Kevin.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. We just settled that. So back to the whole point of all of this.
What?
We had 3 bedrooms. So we had the master bedroom. I had like a Lego room office fusion thing. I definitely did not have enough Lego to be like, I have a Lego room. It was just a room that had Lego in it.
How about now, Kevin? You got enough now?
Maybe.
Oh.
I think I qualify now.
I don't know.
So we had everything packed up. Reed helped disassemble all my Lego stuff.
Thank you, Reed.
Get that packed away.
Assembling, Hope, scoop shovel.
All the good stuff. It was finally time to leave. So we, as a family, I sold I think I mentioned this on some episode at some point. I sold the blue cargo van that I had.
Sold it? No, you didn't tell us you sold it. You just told us you were driving it. You got that was stuck in the Blizzard.
Yeah. So I sold that like the last week that I lived in Colorado, and it was like a very last minute, like, oh wait a minute, that van is not going to survive a drive to Arizona. Like, I kid you not. I think I joked about this last time. That van would smoke sometimes just sitting at a stoplight. Like, I'll be like, why is there smoke coming out of the tailpipe? So, like, I mean, it was really just a junky car that got me from point A to point B. I got it really cheap. It wasn't really our family car. The family car was the 98 Honda Civic. That was the family car.
That seems like a family car.
And it's crazy because if I ever mentioned this before, that Honda Civic, that was my grandfather's car.
You did mention that.
Okay, all right, then I'm not going to do it again. So
that's cool. I do like the fact that you got it. Yeah.
it was passed down multiple times.
Yeah.
Because my grandfather to my father to me to my wife to then gone. Yeah, we don't have it anymore. It's gone.
Keep it on the road.
That vehicle had like 230,000 miles on it. We had put in, oh my goodness, we lost track of how much money we put into that Honda. I think we crossed $80,000 over the years of repairs. Because the thing is, like with a Honda, you go in for an oil change and they're like, so we changed your oil and your axle's broken in half. And you're like, oh, okay, how much does that cost? Like, that's going to be $2,000. Like, all right.
Oh, Lord.
Where, I mean, that is the story about how I gained a Firestone credit card, which I still own to this day, and I use it pretty regularly. But so I made the decision that there's no way this van is going to make it with us. And our plan was I would drive the U-Haul. We rented a U-Haul truck. I would drive the U-Haul. My wife would drive the Civic. So I'm like, so where does the van go? And I'm like, I'm not going to haul the van. I'm not going to pay more money for a tow. I mean, this was already costing me so much money to move. And Lego was not paying to move me. That was not part of the agreement. They offered me the job to be a store manager in Arizona. I took it, but there was no relocation package. This was get yourself there. Later on in my years, again, to jump ahead in the story, I did inquire officially as to what is the criteria for a relocation package at Lego. And it was, I think what they told me was vice president and above get relocation packages. Wow. And of course I was like, good. I'm glad the people that really need it get the relocation package.
Absolutely.
That's good. But again, I don't think that's very different from probably lots of other companies.
Well, yeah, we put Lego on this pedestal, and
we do. We do that.
So at the end of the day, and I'm going to cut you off, they make such a fantastic product.
They do. Absolutely. So yeah, I said, you know what, this van's not going to make it. So I said I need to sell this, and it happened so fast. I don't even remember how I did it. I feel like my mother listed it on like maybe Facebook Marketplace or something, and she was like, somebody wants.
Kevin, that was not a thing.
No, it was a thing, I think.
No, not that long ago.
Okay, maybe you're right. I don't know. Somebody listed it somewhere, and like my mother or my wife or someone was like, somebody saw the thing for the car and they want to pick it up like tomorrow. And I was like, okay. Like it was like a blur. And I was like, all right. And so this was like a cash transaction. And I was like, well, I don't have a van anymore. So that was gone. So we picked up the U-Haul. It wasn't a giant U-Haul. It was like, I think either the smallest or the step above the smallest. Our whole life was in it. Put our life in the U-Haul. And my buddy, Dan, I call him Dan. His name's Daniel. And I think he does go by Daniel, but I've called him Dan so long that he says I'm not allowed to call him Daniel. But it's kind of reversed because it's like, all right, whatever. So Dan offered very graciously to actually travel with me all the way to Arizona and help me unload the U-Haul. And I was like, man, I got some awesome friends, let me say. And this is my college buddy who's also at this time now had been working with me at the Lego store.
Nice.
So he came over. He was helping me actually load the U-Haul. I actually had a couple other college buddies to help me load it. Got everything loaded up. Kind of got a little like, there was emotions. I'm like, I've lived in the state for 6 years and it's been about part of my life. And I went to school here. I graduated here. I started a career here, and here we go. All right. So we embarked on the road trip. I'm trying to remember how long that trip was. It was like maybe like 14 hours or 15 hours, something like that. Um, from Denver down to Chandler. And so I was in the U-Haul. It was me and Dan and my son, and my wife was by herself in the Honda. But did we have a dog? We had a dog. The dog was with her.
What your dog's name, Kevin?
So I'm trying to remember which dog. No, this was probably, so we had Milkshake. We have a Chihuahua named Milkshake. And this is a small brown dog that we saved from a abusive home. And yeah, we only had one dog at the time. So the one dog was with her in the car. Yeah, that sounds right. So yeah, we did our road trip. It was actually kind of fun, having my buddy in the U-Haul with me, and we were chatting about stuff and taking photos, and I was like, it was fun. I was like, we're on a new adventure. I thought it was really kind of interesting because when I think of Arizona, I think of like a desert.
Absolutely.
That's what I think about.
That's all there is. I watched Breaking Bad. That's all they got there is dirt and sand and meth.
It's a desert and people that make meth. But when I was driving through it, it's like half of the state is totally different. So you have the bottom half of Arizona, which is the desert. It's the quote unquote Valley of the Sun. And then the top half is like these lush forests and like rolling hills and mountains. It's kind of wacky because as we started living there and getting used to the weather reports, you would see like the map and they would have snow in the upper half of Arizona and a heat wave in the lower half of Arizona.
Ridiculous.
And I'm like, that's weird.
Arizona do better. You know what we need to do? We need to split them and call it Lincoln. The top part can be Lincoln.
There you go.
It can be Arizona.
I remember when we were driving down it, we were driving in Arizona probably for 6 hours. And I'm like, are we in Arizona yet? And because we're driving through like forests, and I'm like, oh, we are. We've been in it. I'm like, this is. I mean, I was using a map. I didn't have GPS or anything.
What's a GPS?
Yeah, what was that? So I was just using like the classic road atlas book that you buy from like Walmart or whatever.
Right.
And we weren't trying to like gun it. I mean, we were stopping and eating and stopping for breaks. It wasn't a long enough trip that we did an overnight. We did. We did stay in a hotel. Because I remember that Dan snored so loudly. And I had never been in a room with Dan asleep. And he goes, all right, I'm going to warn all of you that I'm a really loud snorer. And I was like, no, you're not.
Listen, I don't know how loud Dan was, but I have another AFOL in which I shared a hotel room with. I'm just going to say it's a guy in his bricks. That's the husband of a girl in her bricks. He was rattling the windows.
That's amazing.
This guy was the loudest snorer I ever, and I think he might have had night terrors too. I'm not sure. He was killing it.
Okay, there's only one thing you could say that would make this better.
Okay.
Did he sleep in the buff?
Not there because we had at the time I think my 11-year-old or 10-year-old daughter with us. So no.
So just I snore very loud. I have night terrors, and I like to sleep naked.
He said.
No, Dan didn't say that.
I was like, wait, what?
No.
No, I wasn't warned. We were not warned that he snored.
That's a fun.
It was.
Yeah, and Dan is one of the seriously one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. Like Dan, he's on a different level.
Yeah.
And
I
And
know
he
people like
was, yeah, and he was like so uncomfortable. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm like, Dan, no, you're not. Like, yeah, it'll be fine. And I remember my wife, she was like, he's waking me up. He's so loud. I was like, yeah, he's kind of loud. And then the next morning we are having breakfast, and he's like, I didn't wake you up, did I? I was like, no. What are you talking about? But yeah, so
when you watch this video, you will know that.
he'll know, he'll yeah.
Does he
So
watch? Hey, whoa. Does he
well,
know? Does he watch us?
so my college buddies do know that I've launched a YouTube channel, and they were really supportive of that because of we're all art students, and he's like, oh, that's awesome. It's good to see that you're really back at it, back at the craft and all that stuff. I don't think. No, there's no way that they've seen any of the other stuff. They just have seen.
You're failing them as a friend.
I'm sorry. I guess I am.
Actually, I don't know which side you're failing worse. This friend or those friends?
Can I equal opportunity fail everyone?
Yeah, Kevin, just do better.
I'll just work on that.
Just do better.
Quick shout out to Maniac for Bricks,
Joey,
who sent me a text message the other day, and we were in the middle of a conversation, and he said, "Are you doing better?" And I was so confused, and I was like, "You mean like, am I feeling better? Like, am I sick?" And we actually continued that conversation for a little while until he goes, "No, I'm like doing like what Bricksmith tells you, like, did you do better? Like, are you doing better? Do better." And I was like,
not doing better.
I was like, oh, okay.
Joey's not doing better.
I was like, now I got you. Now I got you. So yeah, we got to Arizona before noonish, I think it was. It was like earlier part of the day.
Yeah.
And we went straight to the apartment complex. So I moved into another kind of big complex of apartments in Chandler, really close to the mall again. Like this was probably 5 minutes away from the mall. And it was a last minute find because, as I mentioned, I was having the worst time ever trying to find a place to live. And I was like, I'm running out of time. I need to find a place to live. I took a tour of this mega complex. And I was like, do you have an apartment? Can I move into it? And they're like, yes.
Yeah. Well, what is your definition of mega? How many units?
There was 400 to 500 maybe.
Okay. So that's standard for Tallahassee. There's probably 25 or 30 of those.
Yeah.
Maybe 50. And I'm just trying to figure out what you think is big.
Sure. So yeah, we got there, and I had all the because I had that tour like on my last day or so.
Yeah.
I started stuff in motion, but I was like, I have to go back to Colorado, so we'll have to like finish via email or phone or whatever.
They all ignored you, didn't they?
Well, there was certain things you could do and certain things you couldn't. So like I got there and I had to like sign the things in person, and I had to bring cashier's checks and stuff for deposit. So we got there with U-Haul, but then we were like sitting in the office for another hour and a half finishing the process. So like my buddy and my kid are out there wandering in the parking lot. Like, can we move into your place yet? I'm like, no, we're finishing all this stuff. There wasn't any issues. It was just,
Sure.
Life. It is how it is. But got into our nice little apartment. We were ground level, which was kind of nice. Didn't have to go up any stairs.
That's always a dream. I have always said I need a first floor apartment.
Yeah. My wife's not really a fan. She prefers to be higher because she kind of likes the privacy of you don't have to just stare into someone's window when you're in a parking lot or whatever.
Yeah.
But so we were ground level there. It was a really nice little complex. And we unloaded the truck, and I was like, all right, we need to get the truck unloaded because, there's a certain time you need to get the U-Haul back to U-Haul before you pay for another day.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, don't I know it?
You probably know. And so we did. We kind of all right, cool. We kind of rushed it and got it all unloaded, and we're like, all right, let's get this U-Haul back. So we did, And Dan wasn't really planning to stay there very long. He came down with us. That was already that day of loading, the next day of unloading, and I think he was going to go back home the next day.
Yeah.
And so he was going to stay with us overnight, but I said, I want to make sure you get a chance to see the store because he's also a Lego employee. He's
Sure.
like, I'd like to see the store you're moving into. So, we did kind of have a, hey, honey, here you go. All right, bye, kind of moment, which was a little crummy, but.
No, I'm not trying to spoil anything, but was that the one and only time you ever did anything like that?
No, that was not.
Come on. We'll get to that later, folks. That was a loaded question. I knew the answer. I wanted to see him no squirm.
Yeah, well, that's happened a couple times. So we ran over the store, and I got to show him, and he was, as I was, very impressed because both of us had never seen real Lego stores. Like we had seen the outlet store, the ugly store in Colorado Mills, and so he's like, "Wow, like there's a yellow brick in the ceiling. There's a nice yellow floor." He was like snapping photos of every single little thing. And it just so happens that when I was there kind of showing him around, this is now a couple of weeks had gone by, I think, since I had left. And now I am back. My business cards had arrived.
Hey.
So my box of my very first Lego business cards. I still have one. I can dig it out at a later episode. I've always kept one of every of my Lego business cards from the beginning. So I got those. That was cool. I took a picture of me opening with a razor blade, my first box of store manager business cards, because it had my name on it. All the information was the store information, but it had my name on it. Also, my first Lego corporate credit card arrived, and I was like, I have a credit card that says Lego Systems Incorporated on it. And that was fun. That was cool. I had no idea what I could use it for. I was like, all right, this is cool. I got this. I got to introduce. So this is when Dan, that I've been talking about, became Colorado Dan. And I had to do that because I now was working in a store with another guy named Dan, who became Arizona Dan.
Dan.
And I am still, to this day, good friends with both. And my wife knows them both. So we have to say, is this Arizona Dan or Colorado Dan? Like we're always having to differentiate which Dan this is. And I got to introduce the Dans. I took a picture of both Dans together. I was like, these are both the Dans in my life meeting each other.
Ladies and gentlemen, they just got hinkled.
They did. It happened. And Dan had been, see, here it is. So Arizona Dan had just been promoted to a supervisor because of all the nonsense going on in everybody dropping off and all the craziness in Arizona. Yeah. So I had promoted him, and Colorado Dan was already a supervisor. And I was like, hey, while I go in the back and look at some paperwork and stuff, Colorado Dan, can you give Arizona Dan some tips and pointers on what you've been doing as a supervisor, because you're both Dan. And I was like, all right, thanks. And I remember I walked away and they talked and did stuff. But yeah, so we walked around, and Colorado Dan wanted to take some pictures of cactuses because there are giant 12-foot tall cactuses in Arizona, just like you think in your head.
Yeah, that's it. Dirt and cactuses.
And he's like, these cactuses are insane. I need to take pictures in front of these cactuses. So we did a little bit of driving around while my poor wife's at home unpacking, and my son.
Ooh.
I know, I'm a terrible person. And, just doing a little bit of sightseeing, not anything crazy, but just taking pictures and seeing, where's the local grocery store? What is the local grocery store? And stuff like that. And then we came back and we kind of relaxed and, was unpacking boxes and stuff like that, and enjoyed the night. And I took Dan to the airport the next day, back to the Sky Harbor. Remember the Sky Harbor Airport?
Yes.
Coolest name ever. Took him to the airport, and he was gone. And I was like, okay, Dan's gone back to Colorado, and all my stuff is here. And like Colorado is gone. Like it's every part of this is gone now. Like I had one last little guy that came with me, and he's gone now.
That's it. Colorado is done.
And here I am in Arizona.
But you got Arizona, Dan.
But I got Arizona Dan, and I want to say at this time, my new assistant manager Jeff was. I still don't think he was there yet, but he was going to be, and it was kind of a real big flurry for me because I'm moving my life, but then I was, I worked in the store for a week. I came back to Colorado for a couple weeks, maybe a month, maybe.
Yeah.
Packed all my life, moved to Arizona, and then I was only working in the Arizona store for I think a couple weeks before I had to go to a manager's conference in Orlando. I think that's where it was. And so it was like this flurry for like a couple months. And I think he was just about to get there because there was a major incident when I was not there at the managers conference and he was there.
I'm sorry, I wasn't.
You weren't listening. This is my new assistant manager.
Oh, he gets to go to the conference too?
Oh no, but there was an incident while I was at the conference and he's at the store. So I think, he came in, I think we worked together maybe for like a week. And then I said, here's kind of what I expect. I'm going to go to this conference. I'm going to come back and then we're really going to get into this. And while I was gone, Arizona Dan, who I really trust, and I still trust today, was like, hey, so Jeff is telling us to ignore everything you're saying and to only listen to him. And I was like, oh my. Well, we're off to a great start. That's just wonderful. So that happened. But yeah, I mean, I was in, and I didn't waste a lot of time. I didn't have like vacation time. I mean, I unpacked and I was ready to go to work. When work time was there, and my wife did almost all of the unpacking and putting everything away. She put all my stuff in a room. She's like, your stuff's over there, because we moved into another apartment that had kind of that extra bedroom.
I gotcha.
Which, like I said, I couldn't really fill it as a Lego room, but it was a room that had a computer and a desk and Lego in it. Yeah, it was okay. And one of the things we really liked about Arizona was the 0% humidity, which literally is 0% humidity. I was like, wow, okay. And they talk about the dry heat and it's 100 and whatever, and it doesn't. And you know what? It really doesn't feel that bad. But when it gets to that like insane, like 110, it does feel like 110. Like you feel like you're dying. You walk outside, you're like, I'm dying. There was some days that it got that high, but we also really liked the air quality. So like my older son, he's had like allergies and stuff most of his life, and he gets like all the pollen and junk in the air. I get some of the same stuff, but in Arizona, it like didn't exist.
Yeah.
There was no such thing as seasonal allergies or watch out, the pollen is too. No, none of that existed. It was just, it was kind of nice. It was peaceful. So yeah. So started getting to work, kind of trying to get things still into place and establish a new rule of law in this store. And believe me, there was still so much work to be done.
Mm-hmm.
So many things needed to get fixed and changed and reassessed. And even for me, I was still learning, what's it like to work in a regular Lego store? What are the expectations from corporate?
Check your phone.
What?
Check your phone.
Check my phone?
Yeah, check your phone.
Okay. Sorry, everybody. Sorry.
It took too long.
My apologies. But I think again, it was really exciting. I was looking forward to doing it, but I didn't know what was before me.
Imagine not. So you're telling me right from RIP, your assistant manager was just bus tossing you.
Yeah, he was hearing through the staff, kind of like what some of my directions were and what I wanted, and he didn't agree. And so he had a thought that he was chosen to be the assistant manager there from all the way across the country. And so he, knows better than the other person who was chosen from a different store as to be the store manager. And we were at odds for many months before we finally figured all that out.
Wow.
And spoiler alert, we did have a altercation eventually. No fist fighting, no physical violence.
Yeah, it's
but,
not Kevin's
but,
MO.
but there was shouting, there was yelling, there was emotions, and
Firing? No, don't tell me. No, don't tell me. Don't tell me. Let's keep it
but
secret.
things were settled. But yeah, he he came from a totally different district, which had a different district manager, which had different expectations. He came from a different store manager who, every store manager slightly manages differently.
Oh, sure.
Yes,
That's anything.
Yeah, of course, it's a corporate store and there's corporate policies, but they have different styles. And he just didn't, like I didn't mesh well with Eric's style.
Yeah.
He wasn't meshing well with my style.
Well,
and so we'll don't worry, guys, we'll get that all settled out. But I think this is a good spot. I think again, like I'm there, moved in, I'm settled
so
there.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, you do not know how happy I am that we have landed in Arizona.
Now it's time to not do another episode for 2 months. But I'll be honest. I need to refamiliarize myself a little bit with the Arizona chapter because it was kind of short-lived, to be honest. I was only there for 1 year.
Wow.
And so much happened in that 1 year, but then so much more happened in Texas after that, that it kind of, and I don't say this to belittle all the people I met in Arizona. Some of them I still know and talk to, but it just was such a blur.
Yeah.
And then so much happened in Texas that was bigger that,
it was in Texas.
I mean, everything's bigger in Texas. So I need to go back through some photos and refamiliarize myself with some of those.
Hopefully we can get an Arizona photo episode.
And you know what? I'm not going to make any promises.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking I could probably swing an Arizona dam.
If he doesn't, I'll just find some stock photos from the internet and just put them up here.
Just do that.
Put random pictures of Arizona.
I love it. I love the way you think.
Yeah, man.
So and this is how far I got. I didn't finish, but I got to that.
Finish, slacker.
I know.
Well, does it feel good so far? It's got the kung fu. It's got the
Yeah.
Love. So okay, then all right. Well, I'm Brick Smith.
I'm Kevin.
And we thank you for coming to Forever Sorting again. And
remember,
you gotta
love those bricks.
Those bricks. Bye, everybody.
Bye.